it, I'm gonna stop the process and actually switch to my whip gun just so I can get it done faster. But know that everything that I'm doing can totally be done with your milk frother. It might take you a few seconds longer just because it's just, you're trying to whip something. So even if you were doing this by hand without something electric, you would definitely be whipping for a while, okay? And if you're really just like, this is getting on my nerves, I'm sick of it, you can take the actual milk frother and just use it as a whip itself. So you have options, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. What I like to do is you see how dark it is? You see that color? It's really dark. We're trying to get it to like maybe 4 or 5 shades lighter, trying to go here, okay? So the best way to do and use your milk frother is to sit it right on top, okay? Milk frothers they're big fans of looser consistencies, right? And we're okay with that. That's okay. We're not gonna worry about that right now. We're just gonna put this right at the top. You don't wanna submerge it too far in, but allow it to just kind of do its thing, okay? And you gotta be patient, all right? Because it will whip, but you gotta give it some time and allow it to do its thing. So if you want it to go a little faster, you want to lift it up a little bit more. And if you are okay with it going slow, you can just kind of use your hand and just whip it like this. You see what I'm doing here? You can do it like that and that works perfectly fine, all right? But for the meantime, like I said, I'm gonna switch over to my whip gun because I wanna show you guys the end product. You do not have to wait for me. You can continue on if you like.
Hey, Chef.
So I'm just,
while you're whipping, no, I just said, hey, while you're whipping, can you just go over real quickly again, everything that's in the bowl, just in case anybody arrived a little bit late?
Sure. Yes, so in my bowl so far, I have 2 tablespoons of the instant coffee. That's the one with my branded face. The sugar, 2 tablespoons of that, and 1 tablespoon of water. It does not have to be warm or cold. It can be room temperature, fresh from the tap, from a bottle of water, whatever works for you, okay? And as you can see, it's already starting to lighten up. The color has already changed about 2 shades. And what I like to do, again, this is all about preference, right? As I mentioned before, coffee is a very personal thing. If you prefer to have a lot smoother consistency, you can definitely stop sooner. The thicker that your whipped dalgona is, the harder it is to mix in, but it's also a lot more fun to eat and enjoy. It kind of makes like a smoothie kind of texture. But if you are not too big of a fan of that and you want it a little bit easier to mix in, you can kind of go with a looser consistency, something that's a little bit more thin and runny like this. You can actually stop here if you prefer that kind of consistency. But because I'm a pastry chef, I really love for my drinks to have kind of like that dessert vibe, which is why I like to decorate my mug and all of that stuff. So that's really kind of my vibe. I'm really into like desserty type things. So if that's like your speed, then honey, come on and join me over here in the dalgona coffee realm, okay? So with that said, I'm gonna get the last few things together, and that is prepping my glass, okay? So I wanna make some matcha. I have some ice in my fridge, in my freezer, but I don't wanna grab it out until I'm ready to put it right into the glass. So before I do that, I wanna go ahead and show you guys the matcha portion. And of course, this is all, again, up to you. If you're not a big fan of matcha, like my mom isn't like a big fan of matcha, she likes it, she doesn't love it. So I would make a huge thing of matcha for her. I would just probably put like a small amount, and that is up to you as well. So I like to take a small bowl here and cut open the matcha powder, pour it into a bowl. And again, like I said, this is all about preference. So however much you want to make is up to you. We've included 2 packets, so up to you, all right? I like to take a tiny bit of water to kind of dilute it and kind of create like a paste, if you will, or a sauce out of it, okay? Always pour liquid into the dry. So that means pouring your liquid, your water into the dry powder. You don't want to ever have liquid and then pour the powder on top. It really never wants to incorporate for whatever reason. So it's just a pro tip in general. So I like to go ahead and get this as smooth as possible. You don't want to add too much water because, again, we're going to add this to our dalgona, our mix in here. So we don't want to dilute it too much. We just our goal here is to really mostly just break up those clumps and kind of loosen it up some so that we can have an actual flow. If you have a matcha brush, I know that some people actually have those in their homes. Please use that. That's going to be a lot easier for you than what I'm doing over here with my whisk. So if you have a matcha brush or matcha whisk, use that. That's going to be a lot easier and helpful. Okay, so I've got this pretty smooth. I'm not gonna go too much longer because like I said, we're on a tight time schedule and I wanna make sure that you guys get your coffee in your bellies before your meeting. So give me 1 second. I wanna make sure that this is nice and smooth, and it looks like and feels like that to me. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna show you guys up there and here. This is what it's looking like, nice and loose, okay? I'm gonna go grab my ice and I'll meet you back here in 30 seconds or less. Actually, that was more like 5 or 2 seconds.
That was fast.
Yeah, that was fast, right? Speedy. All right, so I like to, this is again, a preference of mine. I prefer this drink to have a ton of ice. It is a kind of a cold brew kind of situation, or not brew rather, but just a cold coffee, iced coffee situation. So I prefer to have this drink with a ton of ice, but again, preference, y'all. So if you're like, that's too much ice, chef, that's too much ice, I can't do that much ice in my coffee, by all means, reduce the amount of ice that you have, okay? So I'm gonna stop there. I'm going to use the coconut milk cream for my drink. I prefer the look of the really white, stark white cream against the green matcha, but please, you guys, use your preference of milk, all right? If that means you like oat milk or almond milk or llama milk, whatever your choice of milk is, use it, okay? I'm actually lactose intolerant, so if I was to not use this coconut milk, I would probably use a lactate milk or some lactose-free milk or something like that. That's for me, all right? So I have already cut open my coconut milk here. I'm gonna pour some right into my glass. Let me see if I can get it up for you guys so you guys can see. I'm only gonna pour a little bit, not the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because I wanna add my matcha in, and then I'm gonna add some more. So far, this is what I'm looking like. See the cubes of ice sticking out there. I've got my beautiful cookie rim glass. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and drizzle some of this matcha in there. This is my favorite part. As you can tell, I'm like smiling like a little kid on Christmas. I love seeing this come together and it's really fun. So hopefully you guys will get that energy from me as well. If not, you definitely will if you drink this coffee. All right, so here we go. I'm just gonna pour some in here. Try not to mess up my glass in the process. Okay, there we go. Like that, I'm gonna kind of clean up my little mess here. All right, there we go. So that's looking good. I'm loving that so far. There we go. I'm gonna add the rest of my coconut milk, which isn't much left, but I wanted to make sure I had a nice separation of the green so you can really see it. When we add the dalgona and mix it together, it'll be really, really pretty. All right, so there we go. I wanna get all that coconut cream out because that's the good stuff right there at the bottom. All right, so there we go. All right, so here's what we're looking like so far. I'm gonna give this a quick zhuzh before we pour in our dalgona because I really wanna see some of that green when we pour in our coffee. As you can see, I'm taking my beautiful spoon straw and I'm really just kind of creating like some streaks in here. All right, put that to the side. Look at that so far. That's looking super pretty, right? All right, so my favorite part is coming up and we're gonna add our dalgona mix. Woohoo! All right, y'all, this is where it gets real. All right, again, this is my favorite part because I love to see it come together. So here we go. As you can see, mine is fairly thick. It's still kind of runny. Madison has seen me do this show many times and she's seen all the different textures that I give. This is a little bit more on the loose side because I know that we're doing this class really quickly. So I wanna make sure that you guys know that you can stop here at this point and this is perfectly fine, okay? If you want yours a lot thicker, keep going, okay? So no worries, you don't have to do exactly like I'm doing, all right? I'm just doing here so you guys know that you can stop here. All right, I'm gonna keep going and pour it right into my glass. I'm gonna try and not avoid hitting my beautifully rimmed cookie that I made, but I'm gonna see if I can avoid that. But if not, it's okay. It's all gonna go into my belly anyway, so I'm not complaining too much. All right, so do the best you can, get it in there. Get it all in there if you can. Try to resist using your fingers and dipping in if you can. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna stop there, you guys. A few more things that we want to add, that I want to add to this to make this super cute. Again, y'all, remember this? Remember these cookies that we had? You thought I was gonna throw them away? You thought wrong. I'm gonna take some of this and use this as my garnish because y'all, I am extra. Like I said, I deserve this. If you're waking up early in the morning to make this whipped coffee, you deserve to treat yourself to a little self-care in the morning. And that means decorating your mug with cookies and putting the cookies in there and eating them and dipping them. That's a good morning breakfast, okay? That's how you start your day. I feel like if everybody did this in the morning and really did this extra step of like decorating their mug and everything, you probably wouldn't be screaming at your kids in the morning, getting ready for school. Or you probably wouldn't be like so groggy getting out of bed, knowing that you're gonna make this beautiful drink in the morning, every morning. Yes, so I encourage you to be as creative as you want to be in the morning when you're making this beautiful, lovely drink. I want you to think about me and say, man, Chef Jess really made me feel like I deserve a good popping drink in the morning. And I stand that, okay? Please do it for yourself. Think about Chef Jess saying, you deserve this. You deserve this, okay? You guys got this, all right? Here we go. Look at this beautiful drink. OMG, just giving all the lovely vibes of breakfast and meeting time, right? So this is something that you can totally enjoy during your meeting and enjoy, drink, enjoy. If you guys are quite ready, I don't know where you are, but wherever you are in your process, hold up your bowl, your milk frother, your drink, whatever you have, your straw, a beautiful smile, whatever you have going on, turn on your camera. I'd love to see you so we can take this beautiful photo for you and your colleagues, and you guys can get on with your meeting and I can be out your way.
I'm seeing some drinks. Everybody hold up your drinks. We're just going to take a quick group photo so you can show everyone how awesome your morning was. You got coffee. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, Ron. That looks great. June, I'm loving those coffees.
Yes, you guys are fantastic. I know that my time is up, but I did want to share with you a few things really quick before I go. I know that we were really quick today, but I want you guys to take a moment, if you have time, check me out on social media, connect with me. I'm really, really into social media, as you guys saw from my intro. I love TikTok. I'm a little bit on a hiatus right now as I'm getting my studio finished, but at the top of the year, I promise there's gonna be a ton of new content. My son is a baker boy. He's gonna be my new baking assistant for my new show that's gonna be coming out at the top of the year. So stay tuned, there's gonna be a lot of fun content. Also, if you guys have any questions about baking, if you're into baking and you want to know some things, please connect with me. I'm happy to share any information that I have, any information that I know. I can gladly share it with you, okay? Reach out to me, Pipe Pastry Shop, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you make this beautiful thing again and at another time and you take a photo, tag me. I will give you another shout out. And from there, I can't wait to see you guys. So I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again for allowing me to come to your home virtually and make some coffee with you. I hope I see you again on the next time. Thank you. Over to you, Madison, and then over to you, June.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope you loved your coffee. Again, I'm leaving the social media card up here. It's got QR codes if you want to scan them. We've got Chef Jess down there at Piped Pastry Shop. We've got VX_social. Again, if you take a picture of your coffee, feel free to tag us. We love to repost them, and we love to see your finished coffees. So if you weren't able to do it on this specific call, feel free to do it later and tag us as well. Again, thank you all for joining. We hope that you loved your coffees and enjoy your coffee during your meeting. Over to you, June.
Awesome. Well, I agree with Todd. I've been wiping my desk along the way, but it was sure fun. I'm going to share my screen here just so y'all know who you're going to be talking to today. Again, this is really going to be a casual conversation. I have a few questions lined up for our panelists. We just went through the intro to Mojo and the coffee experience, and now we're going into the panelist Q&A. And after that, we'll just give you a quick rundown on the things that are coming up here at Mojo Helpdesk as well. So everything that we do within Mojo Helpdesk is really focused on these 4 key differentiators. So whatever we do with the product development, how we think about our hiring, how we think about the marketing efforts that we're doing in this space. We want it to be focused on continuing with the differentiators that we bring to the table for all of our existing customers, and hopefully the new customers that we'll bring into the Mojo Helpdesk family. I won't read it. It's very self-explanatory. We want to make sure that the solution stays speed and fast and agile, that adoption is quick. We want to make sure that the training, that your team are able to, let me just admit somebody, that your team is able to quickly leverage the tool, regardless of the use case, and that the experience both on the agent side and the end user side is really seamless and easy, which keeps your ROI really great for the company. We want to make sure that we're not developing things that are overly complex, and we keep the users, both the agent and the requester, in mind. With that, I'm going to introduce you to our panelists, and I'm very grateful for their time this morning. Well, actually, I have my first question to them will really help us understand how they partnered with Mojo, where they're at in their journey with Mojo Helpdesk. So we'll start with Georgia Southern University. So if you can start with, if Todd, you can start us off, and then you can turn it over to Ryan. If you can summarize your role and tenure with Georgia Southern University, and also give us an overview of how long you've been partnered with us and your experience with us so far.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Todd Tinker. I'm the IT Director for Support and Automations. Here at Georgia Southern, we have about attendance of 5 to 26,000 students in Southern Georgia, 3 campuses, the main one in Statesboro, Georgia. I've been here for 16 years and at Georgia Southern, and I've been in this role for about 1.5 years now. So we've had Mojo, we brand it My Help. We've had it for 7 years now. It's hard to believe that we adopted it in 2015. And Ryan I wasn't part of that decision-making process, but my colleague here, Ryan Richardson, was on that team. So Ryan, your intro.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Richardson. I am the Director of Enterprise Systems and Computational Research here at Georgia Southern. But like Todd said, whenever we did go with Mojo in May of 2015, and I was a part of that decision, and we've really, really enjoyed those 7 years, using the product. So I'm in a little bit different role now, but I'm still involved with this product because of how long I had worked with it originally. So
awesome. And I'll also introduce Didzis with Ecenta. Didzis, if you could give us a run through on how you got introduced to Mojo and your experience with us so far.
Yeah, I've been with Acenta for 12 years now, and we are doing SAP consultancy, so basically IT consultancy for large companies that are using SAP software. And initially, I've been started as a junior developer, but for the last 6 years, I'm leading the support team, and the main tool that we are using is Mojo here. So initially, Mojo was it was not my decision to pick Mojo, as initially a company had a need for an internal tool for addressing or tracking internal requests, for creating new employee data or new email addresses, etc. So they decided for this simple tool that fit perfectly. And then when I took over the support role, we look at it on what to use to communicate with our customers, and we decided we have a tool in place which is simple and straightforward, and we started using it. So it's been since 2014 that we are using Mojo Helpdesk to support our customers. as well.
Awesome. And I would also like to introduce Kristen Van de Ven. She is with Tensas Academy. Hi, Kristen.
Hello. We've been using Mojo since the beginning of school. That would be August 1st. I have been a volunteer for the school for over 10 years. I came from a community banking background. Prior to this, we had used spreadsheets, Google Forms, and it was hard to keep up with. I'm a one-woman shop. We're a pre-K through 12 school. We're not huge. We're 150 students, 20 staff members. But as we've gone to a one-to-one solution, there's a lot of kids and a lot of staff members that need help. And that's really hard to keep up with. And Mojo has made it easy for me to track everything.
Perfect. And Tammy, thanks for joining us as well.
Hello.
Trying to find you. Where is Tamara? There she is. So Tammy, if you could just give us a rundown on your role, your tenure with Edmonds College, and how long ago you've been partnered with us.
Okay, I'm Tamara Becker. I go by Tammy, and I've been with Edmonds College almost 5 years, and I'm the LMS administrator. So that means I run Canvas on the back end. But previous to working at Edmonds, I worked at a small college. It was more like 800 FTEs, and we Spiceworks, and that worked really well for our small little college. But at Edmonds, we have 8,000 FTEs this year, so that's quite a big jump. And they were trying to use Spiceworks free version for all of their needs, and it wasn't working. And so when I came in, because I had heard of Spiceworks, they put that on me, even though I'm the LMS admin. So I was like, no, this isn't working. And we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary for Mojo. So I'm already sending out an email. I'm getting ready that has a little birthday cake with 2 candles on it, because we love Mojo so much. It is so much better than what we were using before. It's reliable, and it can handle the amount of tickets and agents that we have in there. So yes, it definitely is a good fit for us.
That's awesome to hear. Now, Kristen and Tammy, you both mentioned already what you were using prior to Mojo Helpdesk. And I know you've touched on it lightly of why it was cumbersome and, why that wasn't ideal. Can you just expound a little bit more on that? Maybe we'll start with you, Tammy, and then you turn it over to Kristen.
Sure. So the free version of Spiceworks, it was, I don't know, it was being overused. You can, something like, we have like 30 something agents. And so when they all hit the server at the same time, it just would freeze up. And I think the amount of information it was trying to collect, it just wasn't working well. So I'd get calls sometimes up to 2 or 3 times a day saying, hey, can you reboot? Can you reboot? Can you reboot? And that was the only fix. And, and Spiceworks support is saying, hey, we didn't design it for this type of use. So finding a low cost replacement was really important to our school, because they're like, we have no budget for this because we've been using this other product for free. So when we compared Mojo against other products, it really was right in what we could afford, which was nothing, but they somehow scrambled and got money for it. So is there anything else you'd like to hear about?
Awesome. Well, Kristen, you are the newest member of the Mojo Helpdesk family. And the reason why I wanted her to be on this call is I really want to show the power of Mojo Helpdesk to be able to address needs from a 1-person shop like Kristen is, all the way to almost 700 agents like Georgia Southern University is. And so here in this call, you can really see the experience between what a small shop looks like all the way to the large ones. But for you, Kristen, prior to this, you had nothing, so you were handling everything via email. What has changed over the last couple of months now that you say, okay, this was a really good investment for me?
I'm able to manage everything from my phone, truly, meaning I don't have to filter through a spreadsheet and figure out where am I at with things. I am able to tag what products am I looking at. You know, we're pre-K through 12. Can you imagine what all things that we're touching here? So I've got things that 4-year-olds are touching. I've got things that seniors are touching. I've got printers, copiers, you know, everything in between. I didn't realize what all kids could break. I didn't realize what coaches could break. That's probably more than anything. Coaches, did y'all realize? Anyway, but it's a plethora of things, and trying to track all of that. That's a huge thing. And then to be able to turn back around and see where you're spending your time. So yes, when you're a one-woman shop and trying to, and I'm physically only on site, mostly 1 day a week. So people don't think that you're doing things. They think you're hiding out somewhere. And you've probably done that in any of your IT stuff. Nobody thinks you're doing anything. So now I'm able to go back and look and go, well, I in the first month, I answered 76 tickets. Those were the people that didn't grab you in the middle of the hallway. And I'm sure y'all have all done that. And able to justify my time. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm spending my time. So that's a great return on investment for me. You know, this is where I'm spending my time. And this is where we really need to go invest some money, because I've had to reboot this server 72 times in 1 month. So those are just little bitty things that this is worth my time. And I'm able to track and pull data, and the integration with the Google login is great. So that's one less thing.
Awesome. I love that. Anything you'd like to add to that, Todd, Ryan, on, you know, where you were? I know that the decision has been made quite a bit ago, so I'm not sure if you can recall all the way back to what you were doing prior to that.
Yeah, we were doing,
ahead,
we
Ron.
had multiple service desk ticketing systems 7 years ago. We had pockets around campus that were doing their own thing. We had everything from SharePoint to Google Forms to spreadsheets to email.
So Remedy, yeah, Remedy, somebody's using, yeah, and like Ron said, so they had developed something themselves, kind of like you guys did, but you actually made some money from it. But in our case, the people who developed it, they left us, right? So they're like, what do we do now? Sorry, Ron, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the key points for us was to consolidate that into a single service desk and ticketing solution. That was obviously a big issue to have all those multiple different systems. So bringing that all together into one was a huge advantage for us. We didn't get to 658 agents overnight. We've added on from a IT perspective to HR, to our legal affairs uses ticketing systems now. So we have areas all over our campus that use the same methodologies that we first applied within our IT services area.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask you that question of like, how many use cases do you have in the tool? How many departments use it today? And you touched on that a little bit. Maybe we can circle back on that a little later. I'd like to talk a little bit KPI, Todd. What are the things that you're measuring with the tool today?
Sure. So yeah, and something you had mentioned earlier, you know, what are we doing unique with KPI? I'm not sure if we're doing anything too unique, but yeah, we're using the API with Mojo. We're just kind of dumping everything into a SQL Server database, right? And then in that form, we're pulling reports. Some are using just like an Excel connection, and they're doing pivot tables off of that. I've started to use some Power BI, getting a little bit better into the, you know, analytics of it, and trying to build out, you know, these dashboards that are pulling from the database, right? That we pulled the data out of Mojo. You know, you're over there wherever it's hosted through the API. So yeah, we're doing that. Our leadership is looking at those numbers, right? Trying to justify new positions or keeping the ones that we have, because if they're not seeing any work being done, right, what good are we? So it's always valuable to have those metrics. for sure.
Right. And would you add something to that, Tammy, on what KPIs you're measuring with Mojo Helpdesk today?
Sure. Ours doesn't really move upward, I guess, towards a huge, the upper layer of leadership. But for our immediate IT managers, what it does for them is it allows them to look at where the bottlenecks are, what is taking so long for resolutions, and then do those agents need training? Do we need to invest in equipment that keeps breaking because of those tags? We can pull on that. Or is it a process that, we find a lot, we're tracking our purchases now in Mojo, and that's one of our bottlenecks right now. Some of it's due to the shipping delays from COVID, that we saw that in Mojo, how that backed up. And then as the supply chain came back, those tickets started to be closed, but we could actually see that in Mojo. It was pretty fascinating. So that's kind of where we're looking at it. Like, I don't think we've gotten to the point yet where we're like trying to justify positions or anything, but it is helpful more for training, like who's getting stuck on these tickets, or are these tickets in the wrong queue? They're getting pushed into this queue, but that's the total wrong. That's the wrong. They need to go, to this other group so that they can work on it. So we're actually figuring out, some stuff within our IT department with Mojo. So it's very cool.
That's
So,
good.
June, we do have some SLA targets, and that's kind of built into Mojo. And some of the ones that I'm just looking at now is 85% of tickets from accounts management queue must be resolved in a day. And there's another one for our service desk is 95% need to be routed within less than an hour, right? So those are helpful for day-to-day operations. People are looking at those, making sure they're getting addressed in a timely manner for sure. Now, I don't know if that translates into an actual SLA with the customer, right? Whoever we're supporting, but if we're doing our due diligence, maybe we should do that, right? And we can show them at any point in time, hey, we are or are not meeting that SLA with that college or whatever organization.
Right. And some of you have already talked through how you've scaled from when you started with Mojo to however many agents you have today. Can you walk us through? I know that you have a lot of agents on your side too. When you started with Mojo, what were the use cases, and have you expanded on that so far?
Yeah, so as I said previously, initially Mojo was used to support the internal requests of the company. And back then it was approximately maybe 4 agents that were being used for this purpose. We are not a huge company in that sense. We were like 150 employees throughout the years. But I mean, before the Mojo, admins were receiving direct emails, and of course at some point, I mean, requests are being left or forgotten somewhere in the email, and then not addressed on timely manner. So I mean, to gain some visibility on what is actually, how many requests are coming in, who is receiving them, right, and so on, the Mojo came into the picture. So fast forward to today, we are having like approximately 50 agents. We are having 250 internal users, end users contacts, and then we have like approximately the same number of customer end users. On day-to-day basis, I would say we have like 10 to 15 active agents actively working, but the rest we are keeping as in the system, because the support that we do requires different set of knowledge, and the team that I have not always have, let's say, special skill set that is needed to resolve one or the other IT issue on the software side. So oftenly we need to bringing in other folks from other parts of the company, from US, from Germany, from Singapore, and these folks need to also, I mean, communicate with the customer. They need to report the time that they spent on the ticket and so on. So so over time we have grown that pool of additional agents that come into the picture to support our customers. And yeah, because of the cost and the easy setup of these agents, we just keep them active and live. So whenever we need, we can reach out to the folks and actually reassign the ticket directly from Mojo without sending out email and getting confirmations if they can pick it up or not. I mean, they receive notification immediately and can interact with the customer right away.
Perfect. Now I'd like the chance to open it up to our attendees based on what you've heard from our panelists today. If there's anything you'd like to ask, you can put it in the chat and hopefully we can get them addressed before we wrap up. Or you can unmute and just ask. No? We have a shy group. While I wait for people to pop in and chat questions or comments, we are going to launch our roadmap webinar. If you can please hold that on your calendar for January 24th. Our developers will be the highlight of that webinar. They will be talking about the things that they're doing to improve the solution. We are also making some improvements on how we communicate those updates, because we do have a lot of exciting updates to the solution that we would like to roll out. So to the panelists, knowing that we are focusing on innovating on the solution, really making sure that we keep good customers like you while welcoming new customers to Mojo Helpdesk as well. What is something that you're looking forward to that we would develop with Mojo Helpdesk? That'll give our audience a chance to see what that might look like. Now, the developers are here, they're listening. So
is this a wish list?
Yes, you only get one. This and I have conversations every day.
Sure. I think from a large organization perspective, like I said, with the 650 plus agents, one functionality I think we're looking for is to be able to have more granular control over some of the visibility that certain ones have. We do use restricted agents, one of the roles within the, but have canned responses that are sent to groups of individuals, views that are shared with groups. So that's one of the functionality, or two of the functionalities, I guess, that we would like to see from a large organization perspective.
Perfect.
Right. And like when we onboard, say, an agent, we have, probably 40 IT queues, and then there's more enrollment services. So some way to automatically, right, when we put them into a group, they get a certain set of queues automatically. We're not clicking 40 times to add them to a queue. That would be nice. But like Ron said, for larger organizations, I think that would be, things that they would be looking for, more of a larger enterprise solution. So right now, that's kind of some manual clicks.
Any comments on that, developers? Not to put you on the spot.
Yes, we totally understand that's very needed. And it's actually on the, let's say, short-term roadmap with many more things. But that's one of them, like to have a very granular permission system where you define not only who can do what, but what role can do what. So you can say IT manager role, we can do these 5 things or can see these 5 queues. So when somebody comes on board, if he's an IT manager, then he has access to all that.
Right. Like a custom role of some sort.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
We have a question in the queue, and I think this is really for you, Tammy. How was your transition from Spiceworks.
Yes, I'd love to answer that. So I think the most important thing to do first is find out what do you need. So if you've already decided to go with Mojo, that's great. If you haven't, you need to talk to whoever's going to be using this product or a solution and find out what you need it to do. And so that's what I did. I went out to our IT manager, so we have 6 of them, and I asked them, what do you want a product to do for you? And so I gathered it all. I sent it back to them. I said, prioritize it because you're not going to get all of that. And then we came down with just a list of what we need this product to do. After that, then we went out and I had a team of 4 people, and we went out and researched the products, and they did demos and took notes and decided, here's what I found. Everybody brought back 2 or 3, and we looked at them, and then we decided like which one do we want to go with, what one's affordable. And so once we picked Mojo, then it was easy. So Mojo was very easy to implement. We were under the gun because we were getting ready for PeopleSoft switchover, which meant we were going to get a whole bunch of new tickets and questions, and our old system couldn't handle it. I had 1 month to implement Mojo, and we did it. I was sweating it, but it was so easy. The setup was very easy. So in the configuration, you do have to think about it, like how is it going to work? Where are the agents going to go? But the Mojo was simple. Then training, what we did for training new users is we use Canvas as our LMS. We put together a Canvas course with some specific training videos to how we wanted our agents to use it. It takes, if you really sit and go top to bottom through the training module in your sharp, 25 minutes max. There's 4 quizzes in there. You take the quizzes and you're trained on Mojo. It's very easy. And so that's how we I guess put it together. The transition was very fast and very smooth. So if I could implement all software like that, that would be lovely.
Well, thank you to everybody who joined. I hope you loved your coffee if you received them. And we will be hosting more of these going into the new year. We'll take a break in December. So if you can block off January 24th for us, we'll give you more updates on what's coming. Todd, Ryan, Didzis, Kristen, Tammy, thank you so much for your time and for also contributing to how we're developing the solution. So we have a conversation ongoing with all of these panelists to really understand how they're using the tool, so we can also keep improving on them over the next roadmap planning that we're doing into 2023. So with that, Madison, thank you for recording. We will send the recording to those that may have missed it. So if you have a colleague that you'd like to send this recording to, I'm happy to do that. Awesome. Bye, all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.